At this place in history, we are in Hanover, New Hampshire, and the reason is because Hanover used to be part of the state of Vermont back in the late 1700s. And here to explain all about it is Steve Perkins, the executive director of the Vermont Historical Society. Now, Steve, why don't we begin with why we're standing here on the campus at Dartmouth College?
Well, so Dartmouth College has a great history with the state of Vermont, and in fact, on this very program, we talked about that, and we talked about the town of Wheelock, which provided money to help fund this college. But really, we're here today because we want to talk about how this used to be part of Vermont, and it was the Republic of Vermont. So it was a very brief time, a number of months between 1778 and 1779. Ultimately, what happened was there were 16 towns in northern New Hampshire along the Connecticut River that said, you know, we're fed up with you southern New Hampshire politicians. We're going to go become part of the Republic of Vermont. And they did for that short amount of time. And this area of Hanover, the village where Dartmouth sits, really kind of became the center of that kind of political intrigue.
Yeah, and Dresden. This town was known as Dresden,
Yep.
which was part of the Republic of Vermont. Explain a little bit more about the significance of Dresden.
We're really close to the Connecticut River. I mean, you can just walk over the bridge and you're in Vermont. So you can see how these towns would be much more aligned with the towns in Vermont than they would, say, with coastal New Hampshire. And so this plain, right where the college is, or the university is, and the village, was called Dresden. Scholars have come up with a number of different reasons for that. My feeling is certainly we're in Hanover, which was named after a part of Germany, and Dresden is named after a part of Germany. While it was Vermont, they went ahead and just called the whole thing Dresden, I think, to separate it from this Hanover, New Hampshire idea.
And what's significant about it, too, is the first official press house.
Yeah, so you had a university, Dartmouth University, and you had a printing press. And we think, oh, no big deal, you know, whatever, a printing press. But law is based on written law. And to have written law, you needed to have a press. So to have an official state press legitimized the laws of the state of Vermont. And it was also a way for political parties to get their word out. There was no television, there was no radio, you didn't have people riding through towns giving speeches. You got it out by printing, you know, whatever you had to say. And so there was a press that was set up right here in Dresden, and it was the official Vermont press. The state of Vermont also said in its constitution that it would have a state university. Of course, Eleazar Wheelock, who was the president of Dartmouth at the time, embraced that wholeheartedly, because now you have a republic that's helping to fund your university. So Dartmouth was by default, the Vermont State University as defined in our Constitution, and our state press was right here in Dresden.
I am curious to know when New Hampshire claimed this area back, when they called it their own.
Yeah, they never unclaimed it, if that's a word that we can use. You know, always considered part of New Hampshire. You know, the towns seceding from New Hampshire was considered illegal. You know, ultimately, it didn't work out for either the Vermont Republic or the state of New Hampshire to have these 16 towns be part of the Republic. So, you know, by the summer of 1779, things had gone back to the regions that we know today, the Republic, later the state of Vermont, and New Hampshire.
At this place in history.